La de Netease. Esta es interesante, la verdad. Ojalá Netease no me decepcione y muestre juegos móviles también. Porque obviamente entiendo que Netease hace juegos también de consola y de PC, pero a ver, también fuertemente está dentro de la industria del gaming móvil. Así que por favor, no me decepciones, no escondas la mano y demostrá ahí que existen juegos bastante poderosos para el móvil, please. Aparte es uno de los grandes este, Creo que aparte Netease es justamente la compañía que ayudó a crear el Diablo Inmortal. Así que, a ver. Cosas para mostrar claramente tiene. Ya tenemos acá la confe pronta. Tengo que escribir el título. A ver. A ver, esta es Netease Games Livestream. Claro, como no está hecho esta mesa como para decir comes y encima usas el teclado, es un poco una mierda, no te voy a mentir. Pero bueno, no pasa nada, todo va a estar bien. A ver. Games. Perfecto. Arreglamos. Ahí está, el titulardo actualizado. Y vamos a... ¡Pum! Ahí estamos. Le fucking go. A ver qué tienen para mostrar estos. Van a ser rapiditas estas, Hasta ponerle que va a durar media hora. Bueno, empezamos con tráiler divino. Así me gusta. Señora, aléjese de eso, por favor. Once human.
Hello everyone and welcome back to IGN Summer of Gaming. Today, IGN has partnered with Netease Games to provide an in-depth look.
Recibo vibra de Stranding. La verdad que yo también pensé que era un bebé, no te voy a mentir.
Of a mysterious silver door unleashed a catastrophe onto this world, forever changing the course of human history.
Por favor, para las conferencias del próximo año, no contraten presentadores, no son necesarios, lo siento. Queremos ver juegos.
You'll gather resources in your struggle to survive and heal the land from the otherworldly terrors. No spoilers, but I'm digging the weird fiction aspect of this trailer, along with a winking nod to a cosmic horror.
But al Stranding.
This is one
Opa, a ver. Estoy 100% de acuerdo, es que vamos. Es que han habido conferencias que han sido solamente trailer. Pum, mandangón, contenido. La de Play es una. Y ahora cuál más, pará. No me acuerdo ahora de otra. Aunque por ahora solamente la de Play, creo, de las que he visto, que han sido pum, trailer, pum, trailer, pum, trailer. Después les encanta estar ahí. Soy tu co-host, que no sé qué, soy tu host. No, padre, o sea, no me interesa, o sea, no tocas nada, no hiciste el juego, no sabes de qué estás hablando, vos no sos gamer, o sea, como que solamente tenés que hacer esto como si fuera la tele, y esto no es la tele. Bueno, ya hay cosas que me gustaron, Co-op, survival, monstruitos. Los colores están muy apagados igual para mi gusto, pero conducción. Sí, es un survival, es un survival sci-fi, tipo una onda. Lo que veo tecnología, pero veo tal. Qué lindo. de Stranding meets Monster Hunter, un poco de Minecraft, un poco de tal, ¿no? ¿Sabes qué es lo malo? De decir eso, de decir de una onda, me recuerda a esto, me recuerda a lo otro, me recuerda a lo otro. Es que...
That's just the top-down view. Here to dive in deep on once human...
O sea, te estoy hablando. No te quiero escuchar. No. Puta madre, a ella sí la quiero escuchar.
Para. I'm a developer from the Once Human team.
¿Qué es el
I'm in charge
developer?
of putting together the big world of the game, designing levels and environments, as well as developing non-player characters and their background stories.
Once Human is a new weird survival game. But what is new weird?
Well, new weird is a literature and film genre that emerged in the mid-20th century. And it features unexplainable, incomprehensible horror, which is related to cosmic horror, some urban myth, and sci-fi stories. A good living sample of this genre could be the SCP
Buenos diseños de los monstruos igual,
Foundation database that is quite...
Ojo, dijeron que iban a meter horror. Es complicado, Porque lo que estoy viendo yo es un mundo abierto. Y es complicado meter un horror en un mundo abierto, Es complicado. No digo que no se pueda hacer, pero es complicado. El que lo hace muy bien es el DeForest, por ejemplo.
I love SCP, so this already sounds amazing. But what's unique about Once Human and what separates it from other survival games?
Once Human features a post-apocalyptic world where humanity has fallen after the havoc of Stardust. We have players named Beyonders in the game, and they have to face the threats of the unknown horror. In our game, survival is of highest priority to the players. Besides collecting resources and building their own shelters for survival, players have to craft and strengthen weapons and equipment to involve in intense fighting against both aberrant monsters and fellow human enemies. We have bosses named the Great Ones in our game. They are cunning, unfathomable, and devious in their behavior and appearance. Players need to compete with each other as well, both individually and united in groups named hives. They have to fight for ownership of strongholds.
Hives son las de las abejas, ¿no? ¿Cómo se llaman en español? Es que sé lo que es, pero no me sale en español, boludo. Está leyendo la señora.
In the dangerous areas we call
colmenas, gracias.
These features all make our game, our Once Human, stands out from other survival games.
Now, the new trailer opens with a line from H.P. Lovecraft.
Perdón. ¿Qué era lo que resaltaba?
Our once dangerous areas we call impasse. These features all make our game, our Once Human, stands out from other survival games.
Now, the new trailer opens with a line from H.P. Lovecraft. What influence did you draw from his
Hay un montón de survival que hacen eso.
Our team loves Mr. Lovecraft, especially in his unique way of picturing those eerie horror stories. And to some extent, we are inspired by his horror stories, and we are trying to build our own world of unique horror and mystery. We would like to convey to the players the essence of this world after the outburst of Stardust havoc. This unknown micro creature just suddenly spread all over the world and contaminated everything. And we have monsters emerge and invade the world, and there our players, Beyonders, stands as a hero confronting all of this ever-changing and still unknown disaster. And players, the Beyonders, have to evolve in their physical status and their technology to make more advanced equipment to fight back.
What was your inspiration for designing the aberrant monsters known as the Great Ones?
So the Great Ones in our game are powerful creatures coming from outside of the dimension where human lives in. They permeate the boundaries between dimensions.
Eso es una machine gun.
The human world. So we look back to Cthulhu concepts and the SCP
que dispara como escopeta
for some inspiration
por algún motivo.
To design these monsters, and we condense the figures of the Great Ones from those. Well, they should look like something beyond human comprehension, daunting yet beautiful in a weird way. They're powerful as they look, and they are the most exciting challenges we have prepared for our players to experience.
Hola, Souls.
What about the game map? What inspired your team to design those fascinating cities and structures?
Well, our game map is huge. So basically, the story happens on a big island named Nowcut. And on the island, there are generally 4 different areas. For example, there is the Blackfell region, which is in the east on that island, and it features marshes, moors, and deserts. And you can experience
varios biomas
from time to time in this area. And other areas all feature its own geological structures and its unique landscapes. For example, Arkham Mountains in the north is cold and snowy and dangerous, and it's decorated with a lot of
nieve, tormenta.
In the west, there are the Great Plains, and it looks friendly there, but it actually has the largest complicated underground subway tunnel systems. So you can actually explore into those dangerous tunnels and caves hidden there, meeting a lot of enemies.
Now, this map is huge. What can players do in this massive map?
Well, the map is big, and what you can do in it is kind of countless. You can do a lot of things. At first, you can probably freely explore the game world on the big map, and you can choose the best spots that you like to build your own shelter. You can build a shelter as you wish. You can design it. You can put as many structures as it's limited in your shelter. And to build your shelter, you have to collect resources first. There are over 100 types of different resources that you can collect in our game, and some of them are natural resources like logs, stones, ores, and water, and animal products like hide and raw meat and stuff like those. And you can also loot the human strongholds to find scraps like industry products, and you can decompose them into useful materials to craft items. In terms of survival shelter building, you can build structures and you can actually decorate your home using like green plants and clocks and furnitures and so many different things.
Oh, I love decoration, so I'm definitely gonna spend hours in that part of the game. But do you have any tips on how players can survive in the wilderness?
Well, first of all,
Es
you
necesario.
have to pay attention to your physical functions.
No sé.
Like, you have to ensure that you stay hydrated, you stay stomach filled, and you're sane enough to survive. If you dump yourself too long in the polluted water, you probably get diseases and delusions, and you have to find medicines to cure those.
Definitivamente es Netease.
So craft and use
Definitivamente. Y las mismas
consumable items
animaciones que Life After.
Is always in the healthy range. It's very important in terms of survival. And also, you have to learn to improve your equipment and weapons. You can add attributes and potential skills to your weapons. You can craft like gun perks, and from blueprints, you can get like rare and higher quality weapons. So you have to explore the big world to find these gun perks and blueprints. Also, you probably need to form alliances with other players, and working with allies can boost the chance of defeating the Great Ones. And also, you form groups like Hive, and you can actually cooperate with your fellow Hive members to challenge other players.
And how do PvE Great One invasions work? Can they be soloed, or do they need teamwork?
Well, the Great One invasions can be encountered
se nota que están escritas las preguntas,
And basically, in one level area, there will be 1 to 2 Great Ones that you can find. And each Great Ones will have basically 4 different difficulty levels, and you can unlock the higher level after you finish the previous one. So higher level Great Ones will definitely be more destructive and cause a lot more damage to you. If you are confident enough in your battle moves, in your combat skills, and in your equipment and weapons, you can solo the Great Ones alone. But generally, we recommend that 2 to 4 players team up and challenge them. Since the Great One invasion is such difficult PvE challenge, we also prepare generous rewards for every player who successfully contained a beast in their dimension.
Now, what other PvE content is in the game?
Actually, besides the Great One invasion we just talked about, we have the raid dungeons, and we have various world exploration missions. Talking about the raid dungeons, well, they are at various locations around the world, and they feature prolonged exploration in the dungeon. Basically, there will be 2 to 3 bosses in one dungeon, and in each stage there will be 1 boss. And the battles in the dungeons are more intense, and it features a lot of battle mechanisms that you have to deal with. So we recommend that players team up, maybe 4 players form a team to challenge these dungeons. Besides intense battles, you can also loot the chest in the dungeons between battles, and you may find interactive pieces of paper, interactive computer terminals that you can actually get a lot of story information from them. These story slices sometimes provide a lot of important clues that will guide you to better perform your world exploration.
Besides PvE, we know that there's also PvP. How does that work?
In terms of PvP, we basically have 2 main modes of PvP, and one is called Stronghold Conquest. In terms to join this, you have to first form groups called Hive. Hive is a group that can accommodate 30 to 100 people each, and Hives can occupy and compete with 100 people each.
Dijo 100 personas.
Is a group that can accommodate 30 to 100 people each, and hives can occupy and compete for resource areas around in the big world. Different hives can definitely attack each other, so when one hive declares war on another, the system will automatically pick 2 leaders, 1 in each hive, and they have to recruit their teams of attackers and defenders. Then the attackers team need to gain dominance over the defenders' beacon area in a limited time, so as to have control over that resource area. And the defender team have to build defending constructions in the resource area and guard and stand their ground. There is also free PvP in the impasse zone. So indeed, the impasse zone is a PvE-VP exploration area. So players team up and different teams just enter the impasse zone at the same time. You have to deal with non-player enemies like aberrant monsters or a set of soldiers. And at the same time, you have to be aware of sneak attacks by other players, because everyone is competing for the rare resource called source in that area. And if you defeat another player and loot his body, you will get a large amount of source.
And what rewards are there for players who participate in PvP?
In Stronghold Conquest, you can get gun perks, gun blueprints. You can get the energy link and Stardust Cortex, which is all possible rewards for players who participated in a Stronghold Conquest between hives. And these are all valuable resources that you can use to strengthen your build and use to craft powerful weapons. In the impasse, players can farm the resource named Source, which can be converted to Stardust Cortex. And if you use some Stardust Cortex when you craft your weapons and equipments, they will add random perks to your weapons and equipments. And also you can use them as money to exchange for other items in the non-player characters' inventory stores. It is located in a lot of human strongholds.
Now, what kind of firearms and weapons are available in the game? Can they only be crafted, or can you find them out in the world?
Well, firearms are the most important combat weapons in our game. In terms of types of firearms, we have so many. We have pistols, we have assault rifles, we have light machine guns, we have shotguns, we have sniper rifles, and we have submachine guns. In total, there are over 70 different types of firearms, and each firearm has its own shooting, feel, and characteristics, exactly as it is in this reality. These firearms, well, you can find some in your world exploration, but those are kind of basic weapons. If you want to get like powerful and more advanced firearms, you have to craft them from blueprints. The key resources that can be obtained by purchasing, upgrading personal territory, and you can complete tasks to get rewards of those blueprints, and you can find some scraps of the blueprints in your world exploration. The rarer the blueprint, the higher the quality of weapons you can craft.
What sort of customization options are there for the weapons?
Well, there are basically 6 human non-player characters factions in the game, and we also divide our guns into 6 different gun families, which is associated with these human factions, and they kind of share a lineage of development in skills and attributes. And players can also modify your guns, like improve the stability of the firearm. You can probably optimize the recoil, enlarge the magazine capacity by adding accessories to the guns. And these accessories, you can also loot them from strongholds or craft them based on accessory blueprints. Also, firearms have another important attribute called gun perks. Firearms with, different rarities have different numbers and different levels of gun perks it can be assembled to it. By assembling these gun perks, you can give your weapon a lot of passive skills like chain damage, damage boost, freezing, ignition, automatic reload, and so on. So combining these gun perks with your passive skills and with your player's active skills, you can actually form countless, numerous builds, and this will definitely enrich your combat experience.
Now, is there anything you'd like to leave players with before they explore Once Human?
Well, I very much hope that Once Human will be ready for players as soon as possible in the future. And also, as a designer of Once Human, I am looking forward to see more and more survival game lovers join us, start their journey in Nowcut, and to experience exciting combats and explore the fascinating world with us. And there's a final advice for everyone who is trying to start their journey in Nowcut. Be sure to collect enough copper ores in the Sirius Island area.
Los copper ores.
As much as possible. You won't regret getting them.
Victoria, thank you so much for joining
consejito de tal.
I'm gonna go prep for a battle.
A ver. Wow, la puta madre. Eso es lo que yo me estaba preguntando. Literalmente empezamos el show acá y dije en voz alta. Son como media hora de tal. Boludo, mira o sea, literalmente esto era para ver dos juegos. No, seguimos hablando del mismo. Bueno, pero a ver, Netease, esto no es un showcase. O sea, esto literalmente es hablemos del próximo juego de Netease y ya está. O sea, literalmente no pongas Netease Games Livestream, pone One Human, no sé, detalle por detalle. O sea, que vamos, es un juego solo. A ver, me interesan algunas cosas de este juego. Y eso que a mí no me gusta mucho el tema del survival. Pero miedo me da por el hecho de que, como siempre digo, el que poco aprieta... No, el que mucho abarca, poco aprieta. Entonces, tiene de todo esto. Literalmente, vimos el 5 segundos del primer tráiler y vamos ya, Minecraft... no sé, Life After, bueno, los monstruos de las mecánicas de jefes de Dark Souls, bueno, hasta te digo, las cuevas estas del Elden Ring, no sé, que los jefes tengan armas como Doom, o sea, ya cuando empezás a ramificar o ya lo empezás te empieza a despertar juegos que ya has jugado, que ya existen. Trae un problema por el hecho de que hace que el juego no tenga su propia marca. No, es como que no es que no sea divertido o no sea interesante. El hecho es, yo lo voy a probar, bien. Mirá, si esto me recuerda, esto me recuerda, esto me recuerda y esto me recuerda. ¿Por qué me voy a quedar en tu juego? ¿Sacás? Onda, ¿haces un juego atractivo? Sí. ¿Haces un juego lo suficientemente atractivo para que la gente lo pruebe? Sí. Y seguramente después lo jueguen streamers y más gente llega al juego. Pero el hecho es un juego survival en el cual la gente, vos querés que esté ahí 24/7 farmeando cosas y construyendo y creando y demás. Entonces, ¿por cuánto me voy a quedar en tu juego? ¿Qué tan vasto es tu mundo? Porque aunque vos me digas, no, es gigante, el mapa es gigante y hay varios biomas y demás, ¿qué importan esos biomas si son solamente estéticos? Onda, vos me dijiste que justamente tenías biomas de desierto, biomas de nieve, biomas de tal. ¿Va a pasar de que si yo voy con mi personaje a un bioma de nieve, mi personaje tiene frío? Como por ejemplo Zelda. Y le tengo que poner ropa de invierno porque si no se enferma y eso va a importar en lo que es el gameplay de mi personaje. O simplemente es, mira, ahora hay nieve. Porque es como que es un survival, ¿no? Es como que, no sé. Pero me interesó mucho los tintes de horror y me interesó mucho, bueno, otro juego que también dije, me ha parecido a el gameplay de Outriders, básicamente el combate es casi de Outriders, o sea, medio sci-fi, medio con poderes y tal. Pero es verdad lo que acaba de decir la piba, que más las pasivas, más las activas, más las diferentes armaduras y tal. Lo interesante va a ser ver las builds, las diferentes builds de cada uno. Lo bueno es que, aunque yo que sé, yo tenga un rifle de asalto y mi compañero tenga un rifle de asalto, pueden ser dos personas totalmente diferentes y con diferentes estados alterados que les puedas poner a los enemigos y demás. Yo que sé, capaz que una yo me especifico en veneno, mi compañero mete fuego y mete quemadura y tipo y cosas así. Y eso me llega a llamar la atención y me llega a poder llegar a gustar mucho en el tema del combate. Pero, no sé. No sé. Voy a ver. Me voy a quedar de Once. Me voy a acordar de Once Human. Porque básicamente se quedó con una conferencia para él solo. Pero no sé. Tampoco ha dicho fecha. Dijo más adelante. Así que, pues bueno.
Against some aberrant ones, but in the meantime, here to discuss the creature designs and cosmic horror / weird fiction roots of Once Human is IGN's Brian Altano and Max Scoville.
Weird fiction is a subgenre of supernatural and horror fiction that dates back to the 19th century and is still enjoyed to this very day.
That's right. Authors like Robert W. Chambers and H.P. Lovecraft breathed life into the subgenre with The King in Yellow and the entirety of the Cthulhu mythos, respectively. And to this day, weird fiction's influence echoes throughout time and can even be found in contemporary media like Stranger Things.
Yep, so to celebrate all things weird fiction, we thought we would take a look at some of the aberrant monsters and rather strange environments in Once Human.
So let's start by taking a look at some of Once Human's boss monsters!
Boss monsters!
Boss monsters!
All right, first up we've got the tree ant, who clearly has some tree ant-like characteristics, but is also very clearly, you know, not of this world. You know, definitely, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is more of the kind of demon tree from Evil Dead than it is like friendly old Treebeard from Lord of the Rings. This is a very scary tree creature.
Yeah, Evil Dead kind of made trees weird for me.
Perdón. ¿Qué es esto? Bueno, miren que yo me he comido todo de Wholesome Games y demás. Pero literalmente trajeron a 2 streamers o youtubers. Porque vamos, esto... Conocemos todos este setup. Trajeron a 2 streamers o youtubers a... No sé, dar sus opiniones sobre los monstruos. De videos que ya hemos visto. Literalmente va a pasar eso. Sí, literalmente va a pasar eso. Y ya está. Eso es la conferencia de Netease.
Well, that about wraps things up for this presentation. Once Human is releasing on PC with a release date coming soon. And just because the
wow. Y eso que dije que la anterior puede llegar a ser la peor, es que, vamos, ha ganado, ¿eh? O sea, literalmente es la que no tiene contenido. Esto no es un showcase. Esto no es un showcase. La verdad, me ha asesinado, la verdad. Voy a buscarme Once Human. Ni siquiera está en Steam. O sea, ni siquiera pusieron nada. Capaz que, no sé, piensan que lo pueden sacar en la Epic Store. No, me dejó helado, ¿eh? Me ha dejado heladísimo. Heladísimo. Nada. La peor conferencia, vamos, pero de lejos. O sea, ¿cómo vas a hacer una conferencia de un solo juego? No lo entiendo. Es que no hay nada que comentar. Es que solamente te puedo comentar un juego y ya está. Es que no... Buah. Así vamos, así se hace rapidito esto. O sea, vamos a la DPC Gaming Show. Pero antes de comenzar debería ver si me puedo ir a buscar más Morphy, porque me he comido casi todo el queso, la verdad.